What was really interesting is having access to resources, to look up things online. That's why I tell developers today, especially with AI. I mean, a developer job today got so easy that, the hard lifting, it's like using a calculus calculator. And it was at that very moment when I was 22, when I wrote my first end-to-end enterprise software, that's when I knew that this is what I want to do when I implement SOA, service-oriented architecture, because it's the trend and everybody's doing it. The boss is like, I don't care if it's the trend. Give me a system that, I went from using IDEs and management consoles and command prompts to using Outlook and PowerPoint and Excel. I saw that there's huge opportunities in Morocco and in the region, because with Microsoft, what was great about it is that they introduce you to big clients, big offices, big ministries, big industrial. My first client was really Microsoft. The biggest pride we have is from the TGV project as well, the ticketing that we worked with ONCF. That was really an amazing project with an amazing client. Back then, when Algo was a startup was an insult. I couldn't say, startup in French was like, hey, 3 people, you're 4 people. We're not going to give you a big project. That now startups is fashion. Everybody's talking about doing their startup. Everybody's doing, I remember my father telling me that it's hard to work for the government tenders. It's complicated. Number one thing is when you're a salary employee, at the end of the month, your salary is coming. But when you're the boss, the end of the month, if the salary doesn't come, you can't sleep because you have people to pay. People are not paying you on time. Things get complicated. The funny story where you work for the government and the government doesn't pay you on time. And that same government is asking you, why are you late on taxes? Coded in Node.js and never coded in, React. So I was like, hey, I'm going to install this and, code in this and see how it works. And I like it. For my kids or anyone who has kids, you have to teach them coding because that's pure logic. We created La Marocan, the e-service, as a startup, especially for the application of Raqi. And what Raqi is a 10-year project, 20 million dirham invested so far, with all the difficulties. And we believe that all this bureaucracy, one day it's going to go. And has come today. The main idea of Raqi is how do we digitize Morocco's government in a Moroccan way. To us, strategy starts with what we know. It starts with al-muqaddam. It starts with muqata'a. It starts where our paperwork starts. Why do we need to notarize, legalize our signature? Let's put an app to that. Let's make it.
So welcome guys to Yalla podcast, a podcast where we interview software engineers to share their entrepreneurship. We are on the first episode of season number 2 and we have a special guest, Tarik Fadli. He is an experienced tech leader with over 20-year experience, also a software engineer by degree. He got his degree in computer science in the University of Denver in the USA in 2004, and he has been working in the tech space for more than 20 years. He is the co-founder of La Marocan e-service, also known as Raqi, the company behind digital transformation in the public sector in Morocco. Also the founder of Algo Consulting Group, which is similar to the other company, but for the private sector more. So let's get to know more about Tarik Fadli's story after this intro. So Tariq, thank you for accepting my invitation. It will be a pleasure hosting you for today's episode. So can you give the introduction about yourself so the people can know more about you?
Well, you said it all. Ilias, of course, first of all, thank you for inviting me to such a podcast. Today I'm an entrepreneur, but like you said, I started my career as a software developer, and actually it goes a little beyond my career. I was a geek by trade. When I was a kid, I think I wrote my first code or my first software when I was 14 or 15. It was something for my mom's office. She was a lawyer, and I saw that she was one of the first people that invested in a computer back in 1992, 93. When a computer was very expensive, I remember very well that she paid something like 40,000 dirhams, $4,000 for an Omega computer that was running MS-DOS. I don't think you know what MS-DOS is. And then they installed Windows on it. This was in my mom's office, but upstairs, my dad had a Macintosh that he brought from the university. So upstairs was a Macintosh, downstairs was a DOS Windows 3.0 with Arabic. And she hired someone to develop, I think it was a COBOL-based software that's, prompt-based, that organizes her agenda for trials in court and like that. And I remember her complaining a lot about how much money she had to pay this guy, and it was really expensive. And so I used to sneak in to her office when it's closed, and I used to wait for my dad to go to sleep because I was not allowed to touch the computer. It was a serious, expensive tool to work with. So I had to sneak around and figure my way around it and, get my hand in the code. Luckily, that guy, I remember his last name. He was one of the first software engineers I met. His last name was Raqi, I think. And he left a guide, actually, in her office. He left a COBOL guide in her office. So it was in French. Luckily, at 14, 13, I was able to read French. Okay, so that was my first time, really coding or getting my hands in the code. And after that, multimedia world showed up. I had to help my dad install a sound card, a CD-ROM player, speakers on the computer. So we had to open it and figure out how to do that and figure out, how to install the drivers. Back then we didn't, you had to install the drivers via diskettes, not CDs, for the CD to work. And there was no internet. So there was no internet all over Morocco. I think internet came to Morocco in 95 or 96, and it was just in École Mohammedia des Ingénieurs in Rabat. And so that's where it started. That's where the beginning was. So
That's really good. So you have been like a geek since you have been a child, and this is where like this software engineer mindset or like a passion come from, and it's really amazing because I remember some of the things that you mentioned, like at the cassette and stuff, because I was like, which is like the floppy disk. So I was like also I started like touching computer in 2005, 2006. So in this area, there is like still the internet. It's pretty slow in Morocco, and this wasn't that accessible. It was very expensive, and also the infrastructure was not that good in terms of like a computer or in terms of the internet. But with the current stage, it's like a very big changes from the old
absolutely.
age.
I mean, someone like me, I'm old. I'm 44, so I remember a lot. I remember cell phones when they first came out in Morocco. I remember, the first modems that made the noise. But what I recall is the first time I connected to the internet, I was in Munich, Germany. I was 16. It was 96. That's the first time I connected to the internet. I think the second time when I came back, it was École Mohammedia. And then I left to the US. Of course, when I arrived in the U.S. in '98, internet was pretty common in every home. They had, what we call a DSL, ADSL here in Morocco, but it's DSL over there. And they had cable internet that was very fast too. That was impressive. But what was really interesting is having access to resources, to look up things online. That's why I tell developers today, especially with AI. I mean, a developer job today got so easy that the hard lifting, it's like using a calculus calculator. I didn't actually even know there was a calculator that does calculus. I mean, when we studied mathematics in Morocco, you had to draw their own chart and then start solving. And then I go to the US and everybody pulls this big calculator with this big screen and they're like, oh, we can graph this. You just, f of x equals, and you put it in the calculator. And I was like, wow, this is cheating. But they're like, no, that's a basic operation. So that was something interesting. My career really took off when I landed in the US because I worked at the computer lab as a lab assistant. And that was really an amazing opportunity. I didn't know how important that job was until a couple of years later when I got hired in the first company. That job allowed me to touch on several technologies. I was touching on novel netware, I was touching on Linux, I was touching on networking, Cisco, I was doing Oracle, learning a little bit of SQL Server. It was 6.0 back then. It wasn't even SQL 2000. I was learning Visual Basic. I was learning C++. I was learning Java. I was learning JavaScript that just came out. HTML was a given. I taught a course of QBasic with logic and design. And I did all of this stuff before the age of 20. So I did that in 2 years when I was in college. And
That's
when I
really
was
amazing.
20, actually I had a headhunter that was taking a computer science course with me, C++ or Introduction to Data Structures. And he said he has a client that's looking for someone who knows software development and knows networking and knows system administration. And I think it's, I'm like, I don't know that. I do it, but I don't know it. Because in my mindset, I was not ready to, hit the job market. To me, I mean, I need to finish my degree. Once I graduate, then go look for a job. And here I am, 2 years into college, the job is here. So I said no. My dad said no. So, and I took him up on his offer, and sure enough, I passed the technical test, and I got my really first job as a software developer when I was 20 at this company. And the rest was history. So I worked at the computer lab. I was teaching at the university, and then when I was 20, I got that job, and my career took off. I actually had to stop going to school for a couple of years to finish a huge enterprise software that I was developing using Visual Basic, Crystal Reports, and SQL Server. So that project took me 2 years. I coded it alone from A to Z. It was the most daunting and most satisfying thing I've ever done. So here I am, 22, presenting to 500 people a new software custom made for them that manages their labs, manages their structural engineering, and moving from Access and Excel to this custom made software. So I did the entire demo. It took 4 hours, and then they got up and they applauded me. And it was at that very moment when I was 22, when I wrote my first end-to-end enterprise software. That's when I knew that this is what I want to do for a living. And I love it because it's fun. It's challenging. It gets hard sometimes. It's like a puzzle, when you have to figure out problems. And what's most satisfying about it is that when you see your hard work being used by others to make their life easy. So there is no greater satisfaction than that. And then, of course, this company, when the IT team grew up and they needed to appoint an IT manager or CIO, I was chosen for the role. So I became CIO when I was 23, leading a team of 5 professionals who had the degrees and I didn't yet. So.
That's really amazing. That's really amazing to hear that you did all of this in your, from your 20 to 23. It's really amazing that you did a lot of good thing, and really amazing to hear this story about how this went. And also I have a question, when did you move to US? Because I saw in your LinkedIn that you moved to the US in for studying at the community college. So I think probably you study here in Morocco, and after that, after getting your bachelor, a baccalaureate in Morocco, you go to the US.
I had my high school graduation in Ben Sliman, Lycée Hassan Thani. That's where I graduated. Sciences expérimentales. I think I barely had the la moyenne, the average passing score. So, and then because my parents didn't have a lot of money, usually I wanted to go to University of Colorado at Denver directly. And just a little detail, what you said, University of Denver. There's a University of Denver that's a private school that's very expensive, where Condoleezza went. My brother, who's a lawyer, went there. But I didn't go to University of Denver. I went to the University of Colorado at Denver. Okay, they're 2 different schools. So, but in order to make my landing easier and cheaper, I started at a community college called Red Rocks Community College. Spent 2 years there. And then after that, I went to the University of Colorado. So Community college is easier to get to. It is cheaper. It is more flexible because I was working. So I had like night courses, weekend courses, accelerated courses. Like I remember I took a sociology course in 2 months. That was 8 weekends, Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. That's better than, I mean, all day. It's like from 8 to 5. So that's better than, doing 4 months twice a week. I like that. And and then I moved on to University of Colorado. When I went back to finish my degree, it was very hard because I had already been working. I had already been developing software. So that's why I discovered that business and academia in software development, sometimes they don't work together, because in academia, you're supposed to learn, the science behind it, the technical aspects of it. But in the business world, it's different. The boss and the market doesn't care if you encapsulated your functions or, if you used proper name standard in coding. They really don't care. They don't see the code. They just see if it works and when it works. So I had to balance between time to market and proper academia. So
that's really amazing. Yeah, got you. Yeah, it's really hard to be able, if you already like have been working in the market and you go back to study, it will be a different way, because in the academic, it will be behind the scene of the function and the stuff, then rather than the impact and the business impact of it. That's really amazing.
That actually followed me when I became a manager. I used to lead a team of software developers, and I really had a problem with these really smart software engineers. But they were wasting time trying to do ways to do it better. And I'm like, no, it works. Forget it. Move on to other things. We have to deploy this. No. There's this cool way. We're not here to do cool. So the boss is waiting for deployment.
We are here to make money. Yeah, exactly. There is a lot of software engineer that over-engineer stuff because they don't see the business impact of that time wasted. That will be wasted. It's not will be wasted, but technically or like from business side, it will be wasted because the employee is paying for your time. So if you are over engineer, you will be using the company time. So it will be wasted. The money.
At the end of the semester, shareholders would meet and say, okay, IT costs us this much. What did we get for this much? It's like, say, like back then, I remember like I had a yearly budget of like $500,000. And when I first was appointed, and I was like, okay, you spent $500,000. What do you have to show for it? You can't tell them, hey, we're still debugging the system and we're refactoring. They don't know what refactoring is. Why are you refactoring? Oh, because we need to optimize and implement, well, back then we didn't have microservices, but we want to implement SOA, service-oriented architecture, because it's the trend and everybody's doing it. The boss is like, I don't care if it's the trend. Give me a system that works. So that was very important to get out of the academic mindset and go into the business mindset.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the stuff that you need to be able to become an entrepreneur as a software engineer. This is the mindset that you have. It's like we need to make money. You are not here like to writing the code for the sake of the code, but for getting like an actual business impact. So talking about your timeline, and so you get your first full-time job without degree. After that, you go back to finish your degree and get graduated. So after that, did you like get another job in the US, or you move back to Morocco? So that's to get the timeline.
When I was CIO, I actually achieved good things with the company, good results. And to me, I mean, with all respects I owe to CIOs, once you're in love with technology, when you become a manager, you don't touch technology often. So I noticed that, my life was not as challenging, was not as interesting. I mean, I was becoming what I call a pencil pusher, like, signing timesheets, signing expenses, doing meetings. I mean, I went from using IDEs and management consoles and command prompts to using Outlook and PowerPoint and Excel. That wasn't fun. I mean, it's nice because you learn new things about strategy, about business, about vision and leadership. It was all good exercises, but I felt like I reached the top of the company. I mean, this is a civil engineering company. It's called CTL Thompson. It still exists in Colorado, but I was the CIO. So the next step is to become what? CEO. I can't. I need to be a civil engineer. I need to be a structural engineer. I need to be a construction engineer, which I'm not, and I'm not planning on being that. So to me, I've reached the heights. So I started looking at other job offers. I remember getting a job from Berkshire Hathaway, which belongs to Warren Buffett, and I was really excited about it. I interviewed. I was a VP of IT, a solutions architect, or something like that. And I mean, the job involved some technical work as well. So I wanted to consider the job, but then the company I was at, CTL Thompson, they came back with a counter offer and made me shareholder of the company. And that actually satisfied me for like a few months. And then I was like, even if I'm a shareholder, which is a great honor, I mean, 500 people working there, you're one of 18 or 20 people who own the company. So that's a huge honor to someone who was like 24 or 25. And then I was like, well, look, we innovated. We built a system called Nomad, which is like a tablet application that allows their engineers and technicians to enter data directly into the software that I built instead of filling out paper and giving them to agents to enter them into the software to do calculations. And I told them, hey, I have an idea. Let's do a new startup. Let's do a spin-off company where you own 80%, I own 20%, and let's sell this product to our competition. And of course, when you meet with the board, of managers, you get a division. You get people saying, are you crazy? This is our competitive edge. This tool makes us better than the other competition. Instead of turning a report in 3 days, we can turn it in 3 hours thanks to this software, and you want to give it to our competition. And my argument was, well, the competition can hire someone better than me and my team and develop the same thing. We didn't invent anything. They can go copy it. And there they have it. Why not sell them our products and control our competition in a different segment? Because they're spending money, they're spending it. Might as well we get that money. And we control the technology. And we might be able to learn new things for the other business that we can improve on.
Yeah,
so that took a while. It didn't take off. It was too slow for my taste. So I left there and I went for my first consulting job for a company called Blue Layer Technology based in San Francisco. And then that I was there for a few months. Then I was hired by National Student Loans as a CTO. And there, I think I was 9 months or a year, and that was an amazing project. I really loved it. And when I was there and delivering the project, that's when Microsoft called and offered me the lead solutions architect for Middle East and Africa, and that's how I came back to Morocco.
Awesome. That's really amazing to hear all of this, part, because I couldn't get a hold of them in the LinkedIn profile that you have.
Some of them closed. I think.
So
I think Blue Layer,
this.
The partners David and Ryan, I think, they did something else. So Blue Layer doesn't exist. CTL Thompson exists. National Student Loans doesn't exist. It was bought out by Fannie Mae, I think, or Merrill Lynch or something like that. It was after the 2008 financial crisis, so I left right in time. But I'm still in touch with some ex-colleagues. So Microsoft, of course, still exists. Spherion too, and yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
Awesome. So you came back to Morocco because of the offer that you got from Microsoft to become a lead solution architecture for the MENA region. And after that, did you start your company Algo Consulting Group? So currently you are the founder of Algo Group, which is a company that helps the businesses in the private sector with digital transformation. Can you give us more insights about Algo Expert and how was Algo Consulting Group and how was the experience going from being a full-time employee to getting your first step into tech entrepreneurship?
Well,
Tech
Algo
entrepreneurship?
was created. I mean, I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. Algo was created out of circumstances of me. Two things happening. On one side, I saw that there's huge opportunities in Morocco and in the region because with Microsoft, what was great about it is that they introduce you to big clients, big offices, big ministries, big industrials. So that opens the door wide for someone like me who was 27, 28 back then. And I saw that there is opportunities for serious consultants, serious integrators. And at the same time, I endured what I'm going to call a little cultural shock of coming back, because you leave the country, you're 18, you come back almost 28, that's 10 years. It wasn't all great for me. Maybe I was the problem. I'm not saying people were the problem. Maybe it was me. That's definitely me. So I saw that there was an opportunity. So I decided, I talked to my boss back then. I said, hey, this is what I want to do. And I want to wear a different hat. And they were cool about it. They made an exception because some important clients like the train company here, ONCF and Zain in Jordan, those were clients I was working with that really appreciated my work. And I appreciated them back because they were serious. And my first client for Algo, I called it Algo from algorithm, from Khwarizmi. And my first client was really Microsoft. So my first work orders, the three work orders were Microsoft. The fourth one was a public tender that we won with ONCF, and the fifth one was also a public tender. So and then we started. Now Algo is 17 years old, or 18, something like that. And like 70 people, huge references.
Yeah, 17.
And we're really proud because we really touched millions of lives. During COVID, we put the system in place for our country. We contributed, like the biggest pride we have is from the TGV project as well, the ticketing that we worked with ONCF. That was really an amazing project with an amazing client. And it was great to see the mind changing, back then when Algo was a startup was an insult. I couldn't say, startup in French was like, hey, three people, you're four people. We're not going to give you a big project. And now seeing that, like ONCF was like one of the first ones that worked with a startup, really, which they weren't used to it. You have to be a Microsoft, IBM, Oracle, for them to take you seriously. And that's great to witness the paradigm shift, the cultural shift towards really encouraging Moroccan youth to start their endeavor to be entrepreneurs and to gain the trust of big national companies. That's a privilege for me to witness this change in Morocco and to see that now startups is fashion. Everybody's talking about doing their startup. I love it because back then I saw how hard, it's still hard to be an entrepreneur. It's still hard to be a startup. I'm not saying it's easy. I live it every day. After 18 years, I'm still, living similar problems, but at different scales, but it's, it's a choice. It's a lifestyle. And if you choose to do so, you have to be able to take the advantages and the big disadvantages as well.
Okay. So talking about switching hat from being a software engineer that's working full-time like for Microsoft and other company and being at the founder of a tech company or tech startup in Morocco, what are the advantage and disadvantage of this new like a life change or life decision? Because it's like a big step or like a big change, because you will be managing a lot of people and a lot of products, and you will not be in the technical or the coding side, but more on the business side or getting products, managing products and managing people. So what are this advantage of and disadvantage of this career choice?
I'm going to use different terms. I like to use different terms. I don't manage people.
Sure.
I lead people. You manage projects, you manage things, you manage objects, you manage artifacts. People need to be led. People need to be inspired. People need to be trusted. And that's most of the time, that's a very difficult thing to do. When you're young, I think you're naive or stupid. No, not stupid, but you're very naive. I was very naive, and I'm glad I was naive, because if I wasn't, I would have never started. I remember my father telling me that it's hard to work for the government tenders. It's complicated. But I was so full of myself. I was so confident and cocky and just plain out dumb and stupid that I was like, hey, I'm going to try it. If I had to redo it, knowing what I know now, I probably would have changed a lot of things. But hey, there's no time traveling machine. You just learn and grow up and try to not make the same mistakes. But the change was huge, because number one thing is, when you're a salary employee, I mean, at the end of the month, you know your salary is coming. But when you're the boss, the end of the month, if the salary doesn't come, you can't sleep, because you have people to pay. People are not paying you on time. Things get complicated. The funny story where you work for the government and the government doesn't pay you on time, and that same government is asking you, why are you late on taxes? That only happens here, you know. But that's just one example of things that you have to deal with. And then you learn that the humans are very important aspect of every business. I mean, I chose software engineering because the relationship with the machine was very binary. It's 1 or 0. You either code it right or get the hell out of here. It's as pure and simple as that, you know? But relationships with humans are complicated. There is no 1s and 0s. Between 1 and 0, or 0 or 1, there is an infinite number of possibilities until you get to 1. And it's really quantum, you know, in all its states. So, but that's takes learning. You know, it's a totally different experience. Sometimes you reminisce, you miss coding, you miss, you know, an IDE. I mean, the other day, for the first time, I was bored. So I started, you know, installing things to you know, code. I never coded in Node.js and never coded in, you know, React. So I was like, hey, I'm going to install this and, you know, code in this and see how it works. And I like it. But reality catches on when you get a couple of emails or a phone call and you're gone. I mean, the fun lasted 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, and that's it. This was like a month ago.
Also, yeah, got you. Talking about the stuff that you mentioned, the last part that you mentioned, did you miss the coding part and the fun part of coding when you are like being an entrepreneur, tech entrepreneur?
Right now, if someone in my team tells me I will get to be, I mean, I could just code and not manage any other aspects, and things will be in total under control, doing okay, I'll definitely do. One of my dreams is, if I retire anytime soon, is to, you know, play with, you know, robotics, Raspberry Pi, you know, things like that, just like playing with Legos, and spend all day coding and just, you know, setting up labs and doing it without having to worry about business and revenue and shareholders and you know, bonuses and taxes and performance. And yeah, I think I'm ready to do something and retire.
That's really good. That's really good. It does show the passion of coding, and it's really something that is special, like to have, because when you are passionate about, especially coding, you are always thinking about it, and it's really, I think it's really a special skills to have.
Absolutely. I mean, really coding to me is like, you know, when you're a kid and you play with Legos, that same innocent kid playing with Legos, that's the feeling you get when, you know, you're in front of a blank page coding. You feel like a creator, you know, you feel like, I'm going to say God, I'm just going to say creator. And that's why I like programming and coding better, because you create things and you see them move and you see them do, you see them. It's almost like your code is alive and it's doing something that's useful for people. So to me, software engineering is pretty up there, noble, you know, professional careers like doctors and lawyers and judges and teachers and policemen and firemen, you know. all these people have a noble aspect to it. And I think software engineering is one of them, because if you really think about it, look at how our life is prospering, how AI is solving many issues. We all got there thanks to software engineering.
Yes, exactly. And also, I think like a coding, it's not just about the technical side. Also, it's like a mindset, and also it will improve your like how you are thinking about problems, because when you are like a passion about and you develop like a skills, you will be like in your personal life you will be thinking about problem differently than before, like differently than
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you
before,
know,
like
but
learning to code.
famous people like Barack Obama, Kanye West, they took coding lessons, and coding, I mean, to me, for my kids or anyone who has kids, you have to teach them coding, because that's pure logic. You become very logical in your mind, and that
Yes.
helps you a lot in your daily life into solving problems. I mean, uh, it just makes life easier when you know logic and you know how to code. Back then, I used to hear that if you don't speak English and if you don't know how to use a computer, you are an alphabet. Okay? I think today, if you don't speak
Yes.
English and then Spanish and then Mandarin, and you don't know how to code, you're illiterate. You're an alphabet. Because guess what? Our future is all
Yes.
machines and robots. If you don't know how a machine works and how to talk to it, you have some problems, especially surviving if this all breaks into chaos. You need to know how these machines work. I mean, we're gonna be
Yes, exactly.
the Matrix in the future. It's geeks who are gonna save the planet.
Yes, yeah. That's true. Yeah, and also for me, I recommend people to learn coding not because to getting a job at coding, but just it's like a it's like a personal development skills. You will like improve as a person, not only like to get a job as a software engineer. Software engineer.
That's something very important. Sorry to interrupt you.
And
That's very important point, because I've seen. I mean, I've
no,
hired software engineers who studied computer science just because they heard it's a good career. Kids, don't do that. Don't do that. If you don't love it, if you're not in love with coding,
yes,
please stay away from computer science, because you're just going to end up being a smart person who is good at math, but who hates his job. And he does it from 9 to 5. And at 5, he stops thinking about the problem. He's trying to code all day and goes home and he's miserable. The company he works for, his colleagues are not all performing well. Coding is for people who take the problem with them. I remember I used to take a shower thinking about this loop. Why is it not iterating right? What am I missing in my algorithm? How can it run faster? How do I optimize it? Why am I not getting the right results? And you take a shower and then the shower. Wait, I gotta try this. And then you walk out of the shower with your towel in front of the computer, and your wife is like, said, what is wrong with this guy? So that's someone that can go far.
yeah, that's true. If you are not passionate about software engineer, you will hit a limit and you will hit the wall. So because like I'm very passionate about what I'm doing, and also I'm taking my laptop on everywhere at that I'm going. Even on vacation, I am like trying to do a side project, do something like because I love what I'm doing. So that's why I like to keep trying and to keep experimenting with stuff, which is really fun way to see like an impact of the thing that way
Absolutely.
to see like an
Absolutely.
impact of the. So we talk about the Algo Consulting Group, and I think which is the same thing for. Like La Marocan service, it's this one. The Algo Consulting Group is for private sector, but the other one is for the public sector, also known as Raqi. This is one of the famous projects in Morocco lately, like to be able to digitalize the Moroccan public sector. Can you give us more insight about this stuff, and why did you make this decision to get into the public sector? Because it's really hard. Get
Well,
into
to
the public
clarify,
sector
Algo
because
is
it's
for
really
both
hard.
public and private. Algo is the first company, and it's through Algo Adventure that
Okay.
we got to work with a lot of government
Okay.
entities and learn what are the problem in digitizing government in Morocco. So We created La Marocan, the e-service, as a startup, especially for the application of Raqi. And what Raqi is a 10-year project.
Okay.
20 million dirham invested so far, with all the difficulties in the world. For instance, 20 million dirham, taxes came to see us and said, okay, how come you spent 20 million dirhams and you made 0 dirhams? Well, because in our tax code, we don't have research and development. They accused us of laundering money because nobody spends that much on something that doesn't make money. Because we believe in Morocco, we believe in our country. We believe that all this bureaucracy, one day it's going to go. And has come today. Today, there's these events. The World Cup, Morocco is now on the map. We're doing amazing things. Our country is growing, is prospering. Our youth is amazing. We're shining at all levels. So it's the time. I mean, maybe 10 years was too early, but it's never too early. And Raqi came, the main idea of Raqi is how do we digitize Morocco's government in a Moroccan way? How do we tackle what doesn't work in Morocco? Avoiding what big 5 cabinets, consultancy firms tell us to do. When they sell us 4 or 5 million dirham PowerPoints about strategy. To us, strategy starts with what we know. It starts with al-muqaddam. It starts with muqata'a. It starts where our paperwork starts. Why do we need to notarize, legalize our signature? Let's put an app to that. Let's make it fast. Let's start by digitizing this service that is the entry of every government service. And once we do that, we can do everything. So our dream for Raqi is to have one app where you have all Loraq. Any documents that belongs to you that the government has, you have it instantly, whether it's a birth certificate, driver's license, ID, passport, scholar, a degree, medical certificate, anything that belongs to you, you should be able to get it instantaneously with just one click. That's the dream of Raqi, and we started with the hardest procedure. Right now we're live. We have about 20,000 users, 10,000 are active. We're still testing, but the official go live is going to be in January with communication. Right now, we're not communicating, but I want to take advantage of your podcast to invite especially software engineers to test the app, test the website, and give us your feedback. This is not our project. We're working with many government entities. This is all Moroccan people's projects. Okay, so I want to invite everyone to contribute, to test, to tell us what works, to give us suggestions, give us ideas. We have a support team, we have chat, we have a form you can fill out online, you can chat with us via email. Just test it, run it, and tell us what you think.
Awesome. That's really great thing to hear. And thank you for this initiative, because it's really important, because I know the headache of like a muqata'a and asking where the muqaddim is. And you will very rarely find it in your area, so you need to call him to be able to get like a simple signature for something that I would say is not really important. That's like, for example, I had at the back, just recently to renovate my passport, I have the muqaddim to sign a paper to be able to renovate. Yeah. Which is, I don't know what's the importance of the muqaddim signature, because
information.
it's yeah.
He needs to know what you're doing.
Yeah. You have to know everything.
Absolutely. But that's changing. People we work with at these administrations, they're really great. They're making Morocco's digital advancement a priority. There is resistance down at the bottom. There is resistance.
Yes.
Because, things like that. But the management, they are fully on board. They support us. They really maintain good contact with us. They give us suggestions. They're really pushing the projects. But of course, when you're at the down level, you're going to see some resistance. That's human. That's normal. But we're the ones who are going to change it altogether, inshallah.
Yeah, makes sense. Got you. And talking about this project, because it have a very great vision, and you mentioned it very well. What do you think are the challenges of making this vision happen, or what are the challenges that you face while building this product specifically? that you face while building this product specifically?
The answer to this
Like
question is going to be, you're going to have to wait for the book that I will write once this is all deployed. So it's honestly, it's been a very long journey. I never thought it was going to take 10 years. When I had the idea, I thought it was going to be 2, 3, maybe 5 years at top. Turns out to be 10. And that's for a reason. It's not just change is slow, bureaucracy is slow, but also we didn't have the laws. We didn't have many things to get us to the point we are today. Today, we have everything we need. We're integrated with the police system. We have authorization from CNDP because we're adhering to respecting privacy and the laws. We're hosting in Morocco with OCP Atlas Cloud. We're working with the distributors of electronic signature. They're all validated by the Ministry of Defense. I mean, all this stuff and the laws, especially the laws, the decrees, all these laws take a lot of time. So there is a rumor that says that, soon the signature notary will be eliminated in Morocco. We're no longer going to need it. You just can sign digitally using Raqi, and it's instantaneous. You don't go anywhere, and it's done right away. So that's where we're headed. And of course, we're going to add other services like from Qaddam. If you need Qaddam, you're going to find the app, and the app is going to take care of it for you, including Qaddam. And other services with Moroccan customs, with the police, with justice, with education. It's coming, inshallah.
Oh, awesome. That's really great to hear. And I'm really excited to be able to see this stuff in live, in the production, because there is for me to be honest with you, when I see like a project in the digital world, from the public sector, I have a lower expectation, because I know that I might get not the expectation that I'm looking for. But with the project that you mentioned and how the vision is made, I think I'm pretty excited about this world. Vision is made. I think I'm pretty excited about this world specifically.
Something you're right about is that public sector suffers a lot from being late in digital development, and that doesn't mean that people who work in public sector are incompetent or don't want to. It's very simple. Bureaucracy all over the world is heavy. The people we work with are very smart. They are very qualified. Okay. They are people that we used to work in the private sector, in banks, in international companies. The problem they have is the bureaucracy. The machine is heavy. Let's say Morocco is operated now by an administration, and they understood that too. Let's say they need more memory, or they need a feature change. That's a change management in administrative procedure. They have to launch an RFP. They have to respect the law of competition, and make sure all companies know that there is this work and bid on it and get the best price, and make sure it's transparent, it's legal. All this blah blah is the law. You have to do it. But that takes 6 months or a year. So if the server broke and it's an administration, if they don't have a good maintenance contract in place, the quality of the service is going to suffer. The support team, this is a 24-hour service. Raqi works 24 hours. Administration closes at 3. Who's going to support you there? So this is an understanding that the public and private sector both came to and say, and it was even in His Majesty, the King's speech, saying that the public and the private, they need to get close together and work together in all transparency and make sure that innovation, new ways of doing things are faster. And let's step away from the classic scenario. And that's what's happening. This is huge, because you have to analyze things. Morocco is 1,200 years old. We resist change. The good thing about resisted change in our history is, look at us. We've never been invaded by violence or war. I mean, we signed a protectorate. The Amazigh, never really got invaded by the Arabs. It was just a deal, This is good for us because we protected our culture. Look at how rich our heritage is. Not just Moroccan cuisine, but Moroccan architecture, Moroccan art, culture. It's that resistance that made us who we are today, that we held on to our traditions and values. that same thing sometimes is negative because we don't want to change the way we want to do things. But today we don't have a choice. We have to hold on to our cultural values and then be open to technology, to digital transformation, to the future, to AI, to blockchain, and see how we can combine modernity with tradition.
Yeah, makes sense. Got you. This is like I mentioned this point because was from my personal experience, like with like seeing this digital product from the public sector. This is and you really clarify the reason behind that late or not like a functionality, not the product function well. Like this is a lot of things that happen behind the scene that we don't have access to. But I think this also like we need to communicate that well so the other person or like the end user know what like causing this issue. So I think also there's like a communication issue. But yeah, this is just thank you so much for clarifying that. I appreciate that. So also you have been part of like a Moroccan series called like the Shark Tank Moroccan version who invests in my project or شكون يستثمر في مشروعي in Arabic. Can you give us how was the experience and how was the experience?
That was a very very amazing experience. I thank my friend Mehdi Alawi for inviting me to it. The reason I did it was really to contribute my own way, my humble means, if there were any, and encourage the ecosystem because we need more entrepreneurs. We need to trust our youth to really invest in themselves and they need to be encouraged. Like I said, Morocco has changed. When I started, I had nowhere to turn but to myself and friends and family for loans and things like that. But today, there's no excuse. Morocco has many mentoring programs. There's many programs to raise funds, to push things all the way. There is a new digital strategy that encourages youth to do research and development, and they can have a scholarship to be paid monthly so they don't have to worry about living. So, I mean, this is just exciting time for you guys. I wish I was your age and knowing what I know now. So
that's really amazing. So we touched a lot of things, and is there like a plan for like a next season of the episode? Because I think it was like only for one season, or like there is a plan for to have it in other season, or you don't have to have it.
I don't have any information. I think they did it for a couple of seasons, but I really have no idea what's going on. And of course, if they do it again, I'm glad to contribute and see. It's interesting for me too because you get to meet young Moroccans, young entrepreneurs. You get to see what ideas are out there, and that's a very good learning experience. It's very enriching.
Yeah, awesome. So I have a question because you have been like doing a tech startup for quite some time in Morocco specifically. What do you think are missing in the startup scene in Morocco compared to the US, for example, or like let's say France, like a startup scene? What do you think is missing in the startup scene in Morocco to be able to like see a really like a new unicorn or like the first unicorn in Morocco?
That's a good question. I think what's really missing is the ingredients that I'm trying to solve. It's trust. If you think about it, why we need to notarize our signatures because we don't trust each other. I can't just sign a document and send it to you because you're not going to trust me. And I may tomorrow be in front of a judge and say I never signed it. That trust, this is a very simple trust example. That goes all over our society. We need to learn how to trust each other. It goes both ways. I'll start with young entrepreneurs. A lot of them are big dreamers, which is okay, but you can't be the dreamer and not be realistic. I mean, I had adventures where I invested in some small startups where, the founder was too ambitious and, no loyalty, no trust. I mean, it's all about opportunism. There is no long-term vision. There's a lot of short-sighted, quick results. Young people want results now. They want to get rich now. That doesn't work. I mean, if you want to get rich now, go play the lottery, go do something crazy. But that's that's instant success doesn't exist. I mean, to me, look at me. I started when I was 18. I'm 44 right now. That's 26 years of work. Do I consider myself successful? Honestly, I don't. I succeed. I consider myself very lucky. I've had a very fulfilling career. My 26 years of working, I was never miserable a single day. I love what I do every day. To me, that's success. And then I'm working towards a dream. It took 10 years. I'm contributing to my country. I'm leaving footprint, impacts, and then the money will come later. Even if it doesn't come, so what? The trip has been amazing. The adventure has been amazing. So often we focus on the objective, but we don't focus on the journey. So you have to learn to enjoy the journey every day of it. And of course, on the other side, there is banks, there is big structures, there's clients. We also need to trust these young people. I mean, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to make mistakes. Some of them are not going to be reliable, but not everybody is bad. You know, there's 1% or 2% that are bad, and we are going to punish 98% of Moroccan young people and judge them and not give them opportunity because there was some bad apples. You know, trust is what's missing and wrong. We also have to learn that trial and failure is not fatal. If you try something that fails, nobody's going to cut your hand. Nobody's going to put you in prison. You're not going to die starving. Try things, fail as much as possible. Then you will succeed one day. But if you're not failing, how the hell are you going to succeed? It doesn't come overnight.
That's true. That's true. That's really amazing thing to mention. And for people that would like to know, and the reflection back to your 26 experience, what things you recommend for younger people and the people that are watching this episode who are mostly software developer who would like to get their hand dirty in tech entrepreneurship? What thing that you would like to recommend in tech entrepreneurship?
Well, my recommendation is, taking the cliche that Steve Jobs said is stay foolish, stay hungry, don't get the big head. Don't think that you're smarter than the person in front of you. As we say in Arabic, ras kasub kasghair. You know, don't be the smartest person in the room. The opposite. Think you are the stupidest person in the room. That's how you stay humble. That's how you stay focused. That's how you stay selfish. And that's how you keep dreaming naively until you get to your objective. But if you wake up and you think you're all that, that's where you're nothing. So stay foolish, stay hungry.
So thank you so much, Tariq, for your time, and really pleasure and honor to have you in my podcast for the first episode of season 2. And thank you so much. And you have a mic if you would like to say the last word.
Thank you, Ilias, for this invitation. And I want to thank all your audience and tell them that I love you guys. Walad Bladi. You are the future of Morocco. You are the ones that we're all counting on. So please do not waste your time. Believe in yourself, even when others don't. Screw them. It's all you. And trust yourself. But again, stay curious, stay naive, stay humble. And good luck, guys.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.